Hi, I'm Roy Graff. I'm a polyamory and non-monogamy coach and therapist. I work with individuals, couples, and multiple partner relationships. And I also group facilitator, teach consent and play fighting. Today, I'm going to talk about how do you know if polyamory or broadly speaking, non-monogamy is the right choice for you? Why do people choose polyamory? That is not always the case that they are choosing it. Sometimes people feel like they don't have a choice because this is just inherently who they are. There isn't a lot of research in this area, enough research to say whether polyamory is a relationship orientation or totally a choice. But what is true is that some people feel that they are defined by being polyamorous, and for others, can be a philosophical or even political decision to make around how they want to relate with others. Basically, what I think it comes down to is that for some people, they report feeling so much love that they have to give, and it's just not it's not limited to loving one person romantically. And they feel mostly themselves, most authentically themselves, when they're able to express love, connection, romantic attraction, sexual attraction to more than one person at the same time. So, as much as I do believe that for the people that it's right for, polyamory can really feel like a very kind of liberatory and wonderful expression of who they are. I also do see that some people come into this as a lifestyle or as a practice, maybe for some wrong reason or for the wrong motivations. So, for example, if you are in a monogamous relationship and you're thinking to open up your relationship to allow more connections with others, if the motivation behind it is to fix problems in your relationship, as in you're stuck on something, your communication doesn't work, you think that maybe just having other relationships will somehow help to fix it, that's probably not going to work. Similarly, if you think that you're not getting something from your existing relationship and that you can get from someone else, that's probably also more about the issue you have in that relationship that's worth addressing, working on, fixing, or letting go of that relationship, and not just adding another relationship on top of that. Some people feel that maybe it's about getting more physical intimacy with more people, more variety, etc. Again, you can do that without being polyamorous. You can do that in the broader kind of non-monogamy or multigamy umbrella of relationship dynamics. Polyamory is very much about making emotional attachments with people. So by and large, I don't think that engaging in polyamory or choosing that as like the dynamic that you want to practice will fix existing relationship issues you have with your current dynamic. And I think that sometimes people do think that might be the case. And in short term, when there is a lot of excitement about connecting with new people and there is this new relationship energy, it can feel like things are working better, but there will be underlying issues that are still there. If anything, practicing polyamory will expose cracks that exist in your existing dynamic. It will bring up a lot of the things that you maybe have been buried, that haven't been addressed fully. It'll force you to address them because you won't be able to ignore them anymore. So, for example, if you are struggling to communicate, talk about difficult things, more difficult things might come up. There could be jealousy, insecurities. So if you don't talk about them, they're going to basically trip you in a relationship. Also, if you have another relationship dynamic that feels really healthy, very secure, it can show up things that you are missing in your original relationship that you didn't know about. And that can again cause things like inadvertently comparing different relationships, which is not very healthy, but sometimes it happens because you weren't aware of what was going on and now you are. So I think it's worth talking about it, preparing for that, and not just waiting until it hits you in the face. So if couples are thinking of opening up the relationship and of opening up from monogamy, and it's something that maybe is quite new, or maybe it's something they've been talking about for a long time, I think that the first thing to bear in mind is that there's no rush. You don't have to hurry. You can talk about it and assess it and maybe see a coach or talk to friends who have been practicing polyamory for a longer time, and just maybe even go to some meetups and socials and hear stories of other people who have been where you are now, and do that without necessarily rushing to opening up, rushing to connect with other people. The conversation that you want to have, and I have written a full article about it on my blog that talks about the kind of topics that couples want to address initially, and I'll put a link to it in the post. The kind of conversations you want to have is firstly about Can you have difficult conversations? Can you talk about taboo subjects together without getting triggered, without getting activated? So practicing sitting together, feeling connected, and talking about the really hard subjects. That's, it doesn't have to be just about polyamory, just about difficult things in general. Can you sit with your partner's deep emotions and not feel like you have to get defensive, or that you have to fix everything for them? Like, can you give each other space to emotionally heal and ground each other on your own? So basically, can you self-regulate? Can they self-regulate? Or can you only do it together? Because if you can only co-regulate and not self-regulate at all, which sometimes happens in more codependent relationships, it will become a really big problem when things come up in relation to connecting with others. So those are the kind of conversations you want to have around learning to self-regulate, around having hard conversations, and around really exploring what each of you individually is looking to gain from the experience. Like, why are you doing it? Your motivations may not be the same, which is okay, but you want to be aware of it upfront. So when I think about emotional readiness for polyamory, I'm really thinking about relational maturity and having the relationship vocabulary to talk about a lot of complex emotions. So if you can't express your emotions fully, then it may be even hard for you to understand it for yourself, not just to explain it to somebody else. But of course, in polyamory, you're really dealing with multiple emotional connections where you need to express yourself, and those relationships will feel very different. And you might be currently supporting one partner with their own emotional struggles, having some fights with another partner, and experiencing, a loss or some grief with another partner, right? So all those things can happen simultaneously. Now, not everybody wants to or can handle that, but that is a possibility. So emotional readiness or maturity is really about understanding your own feelings, having a connection with your body. So you learn from your own intuition, and you trust your intuitions, and the ability to self-regulate, to be able to sit with yourself, to feel difficult feelings sometimes, to know that it's okay to not be okay all the time, and to have skills and tools for regulating your nervous system. And that can look like breath work or somatic practices. And I also have a blog article about that, about the different kinds of tools that are available for self-regulation. The key is that you know that there's something that works for you and you know how to reach it, right? So you're not totally dependent on your partner to help you feel better. You can do it for yourself. I think that's really important when it comes to really any relationship, especially polyamory. If you're personally struggling or want to get some one-to-one support and advice, you're welcome to schedule a free consultation with me that lasts 20 minutes, and you can find a link to it in my bio.